So I kind of had a version of this video that I already made before I went on vacation, but it was a little ranty, so I decided to clean it up a bit.
No scope.
Hostile. Kebab.
Heads up everybody, my name is SentinelGray and welcome to the channel. I was honestly a little bit surprised whenever I got accepted into the test flight, as they call it, for Halo Infinite, but here we are. I'm going to be going over my thoughts and opinions on what I saw and played, along with the gameplay here in the background for you to watch. Now, before I go too deep into this, I want a few things to be known because I feel like gamers like to overlook technical things a lot. First is that the test that we played was a 2-month-old build that they got ready for us so that we could have the means of looking at things, and granted, because it's 2 months old, most likely things have already changed from it. Second is that the period that we played was a test. I can't stress that enough. This wasn't a final build. This wasn't how the game was going to act or perform at launch or anything like that. So if you want to sit there and say something like some of the people on Twitter or whatever, like, oh, the servers were laggy, it's going to be this laggy at launch, oh, it sucked, then you have no idea what this test is for. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the gameplay overall. I thought the gameplay was honestly really solid. It felt like a Halo game without really feeling like it was copied and pasted from another Halo. So like, it didn't feel like the multiplayer was straight from Halo 4 or straight from Halo 5, which is nice. There's a few things I'm disappointed in because I like the feel of Halo 5. That just personally, I feel that Halo 5 was the best gameplay wise, but I'm not completely broken up about it because the gameplay that Infinite does have feels really, really good. Everything you could want from a modern shooter is in there too, some of which are things that Halo has either struggled to nail or just haven't had in the past, like sprinting and clambering. Unlike more recent Halo games though, you do not have any pre-made loadouts whenever you enter multiplayer. You just start with your AR and your pistol. That's it. Old school. Multiplayer, for the most part, definitely feels like it was made with competitive play in mind. Instead of trying to take things from all these different types of games, like maybe Halo 4 and Halo 5 did, this one kind of puts Halo at the forefront and is like, the game knows what it is. This is Halo multiplayer. This is what we're about. We're not trying to be like anybody else. This is Halo. And each of the maps in the tests, like, they felt like they were designed with 4v4 in mind. It didn't feel like it was, oh, this map is actually designed for 6v6, but they decided towards the end of development, like, oh, we want to do 4v4. It feels like they had the idea of it is always going to be 4v4 combat, and these maps are going to be tailored for that. It feels really, really nice. One of the things that you may see in a few gameplay passages here or somewhere whenever you see gameplay is a lot of the weapons and stuff that spawn on a wall have a timer on them. So if you look either on the wall where you get the weapon from or whatever, whether it's below the weapon or above the weapon, whatever, there's a bar that actually fills up that lets you know how far away that weapon is from spawning, which is extremely nice if you're like passing by a BR station and you wanted to grab a BR, but it's not there, but you see it's coming back in like 3 seconds. Really, really nice. Like I said, this I feel was 100% designed with competitive play in mind. It feels like it, and it definitely resembles it. As for the bots though, I was extremely happy with how they performed. I know there was a lot of jokes beforehand of like, oh, I bet these bots are going to be easy, they're going to be dumb, they're going to be stupid and everything like that. But if you've taken a look at social media at all since the test came out, bots are no joke. Like, if you underestimate them, you will die a lot. You can actually learn a whole bunch of things from the bots and how to play the game. Like, before I even started the test, I apparently forgot how to play Halo. I forgot a lot of Halo was using grenades and everything. Let me tell you something. The bots didn't forget that. They know. They kicked my sorry ass so bad in the very first few matches I did because they were like, the bot grenade placement is ridiculous. I think the only complaint that I have in the bots, at least, is that they're a little too accurate because it seemed like they were hitting headshots a little too frequently. Like if it takes 5 bursts from a BR to kill you at full shields, or if it only took 1 headshot to kill you, they seem like they had your number at all times. So breaking like line of sight with them was one of the better ways that I found in fighting them. Regardless though, the point of the bots is to be a way for people who like to learn how to play Halo, to learn the ins and outs of the game and everything without having to go into multiplayer and the anxiety that comes with some multiplayer games. These bots definitely do that. They do a really good job of that. They're really good for warm-ups, which is one of the other reasons why they have them, in case you want to go into a warm-up match before you actually go into multiplayer or whatever. If you're one of those people who loves comp and doesn't want to like go into casuals or social playlist, I forget what Halo calls it or whatever. Bots, definitely a good addition. They are not stupid. They are really good. They will kill you. Just put it out there for those of you who are worried about that. As far as weapons are concerned, I do have a few notes on them. I think the biggest one I feel that needs changed is probably the sidekick, your sidearm that you start with. It's the new sidearm that seems like it's gonna replace the good old Halo Magnum that we're used to. Not 100% sure on that though. The sidekick seemed to hit a little too hard for what it was. There were tons of times to where I'd get beaten outright by the bots with them having very little issue. Granted, yes, it could have been because they were nailing all headshots, like I said, or maybe because I was missing all of mine, but I feel the sidekick could use a bit of a nerf to it, and if anything, maybe have like a bigger damage fall off at range, because they seem to be hitting me with no problem at range. Though, with all that being said, I still think it should be a one-tap headshot to a Spartan with no shields. I don't think that needs changed at all. The Bulldog, which is the new shotgun in Infinite, is extremely underwhelming. What most of us are used to, or at least from what I remember in old school Halo, was the shotgun being able to one-shot if you were close enough to an enemy. And, if I remember, that distance wasn't that far. The Bulldog felt like it could never one-shot, even if I was point blank in someone's face. Like even when I went to the firing range and got as close as I possibly could get to the targets they put in front of me, I couldn't one-shot them even if I shot them all in the face. However, I will say that this might actually be by design. Now, Halo's matches are set up in a way where there's one power weapon that spawns in the center of the map that can potentially change the flow of the fight. This would be a sniper rifle or a rocket launcher, those types of weapons. The rest of the weapons seem more like tools, bonus weapons, as opposed to having like real power like a rocket launcher. The Bulldog was one of those bonus weapons that you could find on the map and wasn't given to us as a quote-unquote power weapon. What might be the case, though I don't know for sure, is that the Bulldog is kind of like a baby shotgun that you could find on the wall just like you would find a battle rifle or a needler. While the old school Halo shotgun that we all know and love could be a power weapon drop, where it could be the old school one shot or shotgun melee kill type thing. I honestly don't know for sure. I just hope that this is the case, but we will have to wait and see. While I'm kind of on the topic, the Needler. This thing needs some changes, and it's probably not what you're thinking. Overall, the Needler needs more audio and visual effects added to it, period. First and foremost is the Needler sounds like it has a suppressor on it. So unless you actually have the gun physically in your hands, you can't even remotely hear the thing pop off. Because of that, if you're being shot by one, you don't know it until you're dead. And by that point, you kind of have to look at the kill feed to figure out how you died. Even still, if you're looking at somebody who's firing a needler at you, you still were confused as to how you died. The vibrant, bright as hell purple needles we're used to seems like they turn the opacity all the way up and you can't even see them. It's incredibly hard to see those needles that even if you're staring at somebody, it's just ridiculous. While yes, I do agree and I understand that the needler has always been pretty powerful in Halo games, the lack of like audio visual stuff, like all those effects, made it feel extremely oppressive when used against you. I think it might be a lot better, like you may be able to handle it a lot more if you knew that a needler was being fired or that needles were coming at you. Gonna have to see. Then again, once again, test build. Moving on to the new slow firing heavy auto rifle, the Commando. honestly, it feels extremely good to use. It sounds good, it looks good, and it's a one-tap headshot to a Spartan with no shields, which is great. The downside is that all while I was using it, I'd get beat out by a sidekick way too often. Remember what I was saying before? Sidekick is too strong and the bots hit headshots far too often. Maybe I'm just a terrible player, but it felt like that the Commando didn't do enough damage, like almost at all. Regardless on whether I was hitting body shots or headshots, it felt like it took so incredibly long to kill someone with the gun that I might as well not even use it. I even repeatedly tried the gun over and over again to solidify whether it was just me being crap or the gun not doing enough damage. I've concluded that it was the gun. Don't get me wrong, I am not the best player in the world. I do not land all of my shots, but whenever I get beat out by a sidekick over and over and over again, I get a little sus and how much I screw up as compared to how much it's the gun. The rest of the weapons felt pretty good though. The AR felt like a Halo AR should. The BR felt like the old Halo 2, Halo 3 BR, which I am personally not a fan of, but it definitely felt like it. The sniper felt good and powerful. There's not much more I can say, except I'm not impressed with the Ravager. Then again, I've never got to use it in an actual match, so I don't know how it performs inside of a match, but in the firing range, I thought it was absolute garbo. Could have been me. Oh, and the spike grenades. Spike grenades felt really good to use. Next thing I want to talk about is utility. And by utility, I mean like the overshield active camo, grapple shot, and the drop wall. You can split the utility into two different types, or at least I do. Single use and multi-use. Single use is the overshield and active camo. These function the same way as we know in previous Halo games, with the big difference being that you can take them with you and activate them whenever you feel like it. For example, if your team has complete control over the overshield spawn and you don't need the overshield right away, it's worth holding on to for a few seconds until you need it. The only thing I don't know for sure yet is if the overshield will instantly charge your normal shields on use. Once the next test comes around, I'll try and see if I can myth bust that or not, so you guys have that information. The active camo works the same way though. You pick it up and then activate it whenever you need it. Luckily, the camo has a duration for when it stays active, and even if you attack or kill an enemy, if you're in that duration still, you'll go back invisible. Pretty nice. Now, what do I mean by multi-use utility? The drop wall and the grapple shot have multiple uses when you pick them up from their spawn. The drop wall gives you 2 walls whenever you pick them up from the spawn, with a max of 3 total that you can hold at one time. To add to that, you have a cooldown period to how frequently you can place these drop walls, which I believe is like 3 or 4 seconds. But still, it prevents you from putting like 3 walls down back to back to back, which could royally screw over any gunfight that you're in for the other people. Additional info on the drop wall though. Anyone can literally walk through the wall at any time without taking any damage. You can only shoot through and throw grenades out of it. Incoming fire and all of that, the wall will block. And each section of the drop wall has its own little bit of health. It's not that big of a pain to break, which makes it feel balanced. It doesn't feel like you actually put an immovable barrier like a bubble shield in front of you, which is nice. And the drop wall is actually a neutral item when placed. So if you place the wall and then walk on the quote unquote outside of the wall, it will block your shots and grenades if you try and shoot through or throw a grenade through, so be aware of that. Next is the grapple shot. On pickup, you have 3 uses, and you can use it like Spider-Man and fling yourself around the map, or grapple somebody at range and then zoom right to them. I didn't get to try the grappling of the gun off the ground like how you see in the trailers, but from what I've seen, it works the same way. Like, you can zip around and everything, so I imagine you control your friends by grabbing power weapons before they can steal them. I don't know. You can try it out. One final note on utility though. It seems like every map has a single-use utility that spawns and a multi-use utility that spawns. And I can tell you for 100% certainty that you can use them in tandem with each other. The best example I can give is that I was playing on a map and I picked up active camo. I activated it, which took it out of my inventory because I had it on, I activated it, and then ran over a dead body that had the grapple shot. While I was invisible, I was able to use the grapple shot without the invis dropping, which practically turned me into a ghost. Remember that whenever you go and play. Finally, I want to talk about customization. This is a big thing for me since I would love nothing more than a Halo RPG, but that's a conversation for another time or on stream. If you want to catch me on stream, head over to my Twitch channel. I'll be live over there every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The customization overall has its highs and lows. The highs are the sheer amount of things that you can do and you can customize on with not only your armor, but your weapons and vehicles as well. The armor customization reminds me heavily of Halo Reach. You can have the normal stuff like your shoulders and chest pieces, but you can also customize your gloves, knee pads, thigh holsters, your forearm, your visor, like we all were able to in Reach. For weapons and vehicles, it seems like as of right now, we only have certain skins and shaders or coatings is what they call it, that you can put on them instead of a variety of different scopes, barrels, bumpers, you know. But this was just a test. Don't know what the actual final game's gonna have, you know what I mean? The lows, I have to admit, I am making quite a number of assumptions here, but hear me out. And this is for you too, 343, if you guys are watching. Personally, my biggest complaint of customization is how restricted we were on color choice. Yes, I know it sounds dumb, hear me out. At its base, we had access to the different coatings, as they call it, that were all of your main colors of the rainbow. Once you leveled up the season pass a bit, we got access to other coatings, but couldn't change the color on them. For example, the one Spartan that's been plastered everywhere for promotional material that has the black armor and the one red arm kind of painted, you know what I mean? Like kind of like Commander Shepard from Mass Effect. You can't change the colors. Like you can't have an all brown and a green arm, which to me kind of sucks. There's more of a reason behind this, but let me get into something else first. The other low is that at its base, there were barely any customization options. Like to get more armor pieces, coatings, or whatever, you had to play an absurd amount of games. Everything is unlocked via the battle pass, which isn't the worst system in the world, but what brought it so low is that there was only one daily challenge that was basically on repeat the entire time, which was complete a match or complete 3 matches. And regardless on how many matches you had to complete for the challenge, it gave you the same exact amount of XP. Once you completed that challenge, it would just give you the same challenge, but just add or subtract a number of how many matches you had to complete. And with challenges being the only form of XP you can get in the game, the battle pass, felt like a slog more than anything. It made everything outside of being in a match feel extremely bland because you had nothing really new to come back to. But because that's the case, this leads into customization. Because it took forever to level up the battle pass, all of the Spartans that you'd see other players using, like, you know, out and about on matches, looked the same, like almost the exact same. Occasionally you ran into the one guy who has done nothing but play the test flight since it came out, and he hasn't slept for 36 hours, so he had that one legendary coating on his armor, but that was about it. This didn't feel anything like what 343 was saying with the whole, we want your Spartan to feel unique, which also leads into the not being able to customize our colors freely. If you want to give us these coatings that are just different patterns on our armor, at least let us customize the colors. If not at launch, then sometimes in the future, please. Hell, if you want to even lock some of the colors behind the battle pass, that's fine. I know a ton of people who want the pitch black armor color to come back from Halo 1. Since we have the friend or foe identifier in multiplayer now, you could bring that back and it not be a problem. I think it would be fine. At the end of the day though, when all is said and done, what we played and what we saw was literally just a test. There's no guarantee that any of my gripes about what I saw or what I played are actually going to be in the final product. And in fact, I'm willing to bet that the most of them are not. But, you know, I just figured I'd put it out there because they said they do want feedback and everything, and they said they were working on things or whatever. But that is going to be it for me for this video, guys. I do have footage of the entirety of the customization options and all of the new weapons that are in the game. Like, I have gameplay of me testing out all the new weapons, all of the customization options, like all of the menus and everything like that. So if you want to see that, just let me know down in the comments below, and I will be sure to post that video along with maybe a little bit of commentary on a few things if you guys are into that. Remember, if you guys like the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, because I'm definitely looking forward into making more videos for Halo as it gets released. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you all next time. And remember, keep your heads up and be kind to each other. Bye now.